Welcome. Hello. Welcome to my podcast. I don't know if this mini mic is working, but the microphone on my phone doesn't work. Please. Welcome. These are my podcast guests. Hold on. Oh yeah. Take a little nibble. Please don't eat my microphone cord. How do you feel about this? Hello, Junior. How do you feel about the conquest? Great news. Please, guys, it's all over here. So my mom tasked me with distracting the pig, or the goats, while she feeds the pig. So, I'm gonna grind. Oh. So this is Oreo, and then this is Junior, right here. She's pregnant. She's pretty fat. How do you feel about the conquest? How do you feel about the conquest? Do you feel anything about the conquest? Nothing. No thoughts in her brain. She's only like a year old. Not even. Junior, how do you feel about the conquest? Riveting. Winnie, please! Please, Winnie! Please, Winnie! Winnie, speak on the Spanish conquest, please! Winnie, here, let me hear your thoughts. Winnie, what are your thoughts on the Spanish conquest? What I'm gonna be doing basically is informing people, or like giving them a question, and they're gonna answer it, and we're gonna talk about it. Alright, so first I have Winnie. Oh, she doesn't want to talk about it. Okay, well, Mom.
Yes.
I need you for my project. Okay. So, envision this. You go to colonial Latin America, any part of it, really.
Okay.
And you fall in love with a handsome man.
Absolutely.
Handsome man.
Probably a farmer.
And you know what? He's a farmer. But you know what? He's native. All of a sudden, people are showing you this really horrible flyer. Mark. This really horrible flyer. And they're like, actually, when you have babies, your baby is going to be really underprivileged because your baby is going to have a tan skin tone. And there's just a bunch of listed things, and like basically any man you could date in your area, you're just going to be so underprivileged. And I know you as a woman really don't have a choice, but how would you feel about that?
Like, I don't know. I feel like I would be really upset. Why are you going to tell my kid how they need to behave in underpoverished countries when they could be ridiculously smart and cure cancer or be, the next dictator?
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is that skin color shouldn't determine whether or not you have a chance in life?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Another question.
Uh-huh.
If you were in colonial Latin America, what do you think your favorite color would be? And why?
I'm pretty sure my favorite color in colonial Latin America would be like an orange that fades to blue, and it would be because the sun has set on yet another perfect working day.
Wrong. It was really hard to dye blue. Blue is a really hard color to dye into your clothes, so you're wrong. What's your name?
Letitia.
Letitia. That's all you could think of. That's all you could think of. That's the first thing on my brain. Shania. Shania.
Courtney. I'm Courtney.
Courtney.
Wait. Okay. What's a super basic name? Amber.
Amber?
My name's Amber.
Your name's Amber. I'm talking with Amber today.
Amber. Hey.
This sucks. Anyways, Amber, how do you feel about the hegemony?
What's a hegemony?
Question. Okay. Picture this. You are a slave in the jungle. You're being tasked with collecting specific specimens that we're not really sure about. And can you stay serious, ma'am? You're being tasked with finding specific specimens that we don't really know about, and you're like, find this one, this, and this one. Tell us all about it. And instead of you getting to write about it and be a cool scientist, because you're not white, you have to just give up all that information to a privileged white man who just writes it all down and takes credit for it. How would you feel?
I mean, I'm Irish, and history says that we did.
Don't care. So, what we're hearing already from the citizens of this here ranch Okay, Betty. Hit
Amber.
Hit it, Betty. We're hearing from the citizens of this here ranch is that they wouldn't agree about the way hegemony was in Latin American culture and colonialism.
No, I don't. Is no the right answer? I don't think I would.
Yeah.
I look good on this,
If you say
right?
yes, you're racist. Okay. Unrelated to silly interviews and stuff, I just wanted to open up kind of lightly because it's a rough topic. Every time I come into class, I'm like, wow, this is low-key crazy. I take it more seriously than that. But I just wanted to talk about Orientalism, just kind of the point of time that included Latin American colonialism. My mom's being a freak right now. Latin American colonialism, and there was a lot of really heavy topics that I wanted to just touch on. Obviously the first of them being kind of racism and the caste system was, I think, personally, I understand that there's a lot of racism that goes around today, and to think about, I know this isn't Latin America, but when we look at things like the Little Rock Nine, all of these things are in black and white, even though there are color pictures existing of them. I think that society really pushes us to think that everything is so old and that we don't have to worry about it anymore. We don't have to continue changing. And I think that was definitely something that was pushed in this setting and time as well. I think the caste system is a really big part of that because, again, with the invention of the printing press, this stuff was everywhere. And we think about media deciding how we feel about things now. I mean, imagine your only source of information pushing to you, and in the eyes of somebody who would be just an average farm worker or a native, imagine the only thing that you get in front of you is just telling you how wrong you are. I'm not saying it's the same thing, but as somebody who is part of the LGBTQ community, when I was thinking about coming out and everything like that, I was afraid because media was telling me that I should be afraid, that I was doing wrong, that there were people that would rather see me dead than understand that I could like a girl. And as a kid, it's a funny story, I had a gay uncle, Steve, and I thought that you could only be gay inside because we lived in an interesting part of town, and it was rough for him and his boyfriend to be able to be presently themselves outside of the house. And so even being affected things like that, just a little bit of an ounce of that perspective, thinking about how people would feel is crazy. I just can't imagine it. And I think it's important that we go to classes like this to even begin to understand things like that, because it is great that it's past and that we're trying to push past it. But I think that history oftentimes focuses on getting rid of all the bad so that the people that were in the wrong can move on and live their lives. And I think that even though we haven't really talked about how things like that faded out, or even though we have talked about them still being here, how they became lesser over time, I think it's very... I forgot where I was going with that. I'm so sorry. I did not write a script for this because I feel like most podcasts don't really have a script. They just have set questions and they just go for it. But I just feel like it's really important to keep things at the forefront, have classes like this. And my personal feeling, I've talked to a couple people with a Latin American Studies major, even though there are really only a couple of them, specifically this girl named Emily and my other one of these classes. And she talks about how she's pushing for reform in the way that there should be specific classes. This is kind of a general class. It's Latin American history kind of deal. And she says that Latin America gets kind of lumped in together, whereas, like, you wouldn't just say North America. Like, you would specify the US or Canada. Latin America seems to be just one single, like, topic. But I think it's really important for especially people like me who don't have to go through things like racism to go to classes like these and understand people then and now, how they're going through things, how they're feeling, what happened. And a lot of the things that I found interesting in this class, in the Latin American conquest specifically, was the feeling that there is some specific right that allows one group to be higher than the other. And I think the caste system really embodies that, and where it says that one group is higher than the other, and the kind of hegemony, the power relations that people had just based off of skin tone alone, it makes me wonder how people in general got to that point where it was like there wasn't enough of a deciding factor just to be educated and smart. It was just the feeling that you are already superiorly better than somebody based off the skin tone. So I'm really, really interested in that. Another thing that I thought was good to touch on is, because of that power dynamic, the amount of credit that is taken of the white man over everybody else is, in my personal opinion, very horrible. I think, me personally, I think any sane person would agree with me on that, but it is good old 2025. I think representation has always been lacking. The only reason that we have even a portion of women's reproductive health known in the science and the medical science behind that is because there were black women being put through horrible things for us to be able to understand what was going on with women's bodies. And even now there is a very severe lack of representation when it comes to women's health and studies. And I think that's always been a thing, especially when we look at how I was talking with my mom. I don't know what name she made up. I don't remember. I was talking with my mom about how people take the credit for other people's work when it comes to being already genetically superior. And it's crazy to think how much we think certain people have done and created and founded certain things, and those things will actually be completely accredited to daily, just everyday life of people who were forced into that didn't have the choice to be able to read or understand or learn. And I love coming to this class every day and learning more about specific people and specific groups in Latin America. And it really solidifies for me what I want to do in life. I think a lot of my friends always tell me, hi mom, always tell me, like, I just called my friend who I call my sister. I called her today and she said, I know I'm not doing medical, I'm doing psychology now. And for me, classes like this is what makes me feel so solidified in what I want to do, because there is an obvious power imbalance in life today, and continuing that power imbalance, I think, is so horrible. To know that you're a part of it and not do anything, I think, is a little bit too complacent for me. And so every time I come into this class, I always think about how the hegemony is tipped in my favor to some portion. Obviously, I'm still a woman. Obviously, I'm still gay. But I'm white, and I was not born having to decipher things for my parents. A lot of my friends and family and my boyfriend even had to grow up translating papers for their parents, and no child should ever have to go through that, to translate medical documents into Spanish specifically, or things like that, big heavy conversations, but there is just not enough support out there for that not to be happening. And it's my mom's being loud. It's just so important to me that knowing that I have a step up from other people already, why would I not choose to use that to help the people who didn't, and try to even the beginning for everybody. I think a lot of things in this little brain, but I don't know, it's just always so great coming to class and seeing how different people view different things. But I think one of the biggest things in life for me is understanding where other people come from, and that is a great reason that I took this class and a couple of my other classes. And I don't think I would have it any other way, because I think being blissfully unaware is helpful to yourself and nobody else. And I think that a lot of people in Latin America and during this time felt the way, well, it's benefiting me, so why would I want to change it for other people? And that created a lot of hurt and pain and misrepresentation and unfortunate power dynamics and internal, I don't know what it is when you beat yourself up on the inside, internal bias and like internal racism because of things like the caste system and only certain people being able to read and write, and the printing press being the only source of reliable, even if it was propaganda, information. And I think all in all, I really, really enjoy this class. I really enjoy what we're talking about today. The things that have drawn me in was definitely Orientalism and the colonialism portion of Latin America. But I enjoy every part of this class, and I hope to do this a little more organized next time. I had my first day of work yesterday, so I'm dying a little bit after screaming at people for like 5 hours. But I bought this microphone off of Amazon because the microphone on my phone doesn't work. And the goats tried to eat it. It's rough out here. I put a tie on to be more professional. I'm wearing a crop top and shorts, so I thought maybe I should dress the part. I don't even know where I found this tie. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my podcast. I'm sorry if it didn't make any sense. I've been going through some serious brain fog recently, which is kind of rough, but I hope that made sense, and I hope my participation in class and the discussion group will help you understand what I was talking about the whole time. If my mom said something weird, or Mark said something weird, or the goats looked at you funny, I'm so sorry. This was very unprompted, and my mom was busy, and I totally started bothering her. Also, me and my mom do not banter. I'm not a horrible child. We were just being funny. Anyways, make sure to like and subscribe. Hit that little bell button to receive notifications from this channel in the future. And we'll see you all next time. Ma'am, how do you feel about being a prisoner of the Spanish conquest? Freedom! Ooh, yikes! That's not how it worked. Assimilate. You must assimilate to white culture. Assimilate. Oh, great heavens. Oh, great heavens. She's attacking the news report. Trigger warning. It's stinky as hell over here. June! Hi, June. What do you think about the Spanish conquest? Great, thank you. I'm not even gonna ask these guys. They're mean. They're evil. Evil. That's my bracelet. What do you think, freak? Riveting. How do you feel about the conquest?
Hey, will you bring him this salt?
How do you feel about the conquest?
I feel great about the conquest.
You should not have said that. There's a lot of racism.
We really tried hard to get that Trojan horse through the wall.
Do you even know what conquest we're talking about right now?
I mean, if it wasn't the Trojans getting into the Roman Empire and toppling it from the inside, I'm not sure.
It was the Spanish conquest.
Oh, man, I just really want to be stuck in an empty horse.